NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race officially concluded from North Wilkesboro, and what looked like was going to be a dominant win for Corey Heim turns into chaos at the end, and Chandler Smith comes in and seals the victory. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race in North Wilkesboro. We had quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So, before the green flag drop in today's race, I believe Chandler Smith was the only driver that had to go the rear of the field. And at the beginning, had Corey Heim lead the field from the outside with Kyle Busch on the inside, and Corey Heim got a fantastic start and was able to clear for the race lead, and he started pulling away. Meanwhile, though, the front row trucks were starting to come up to the front, and Luke Baldwin, also the Fords, were really charging their way up to the front early in this event. But Corey Heim continued to dominate, and he had a near 6-second lead by the end of stage number 1. But the first caution race come out on lap number 47 for Tyler Tomasi, who stalled coming off of turn number 2. They didn't really get a lot of time to get the trucks checked out before they got out on track. Tough fight for Tyler Tomasi, who would go multiple laps down and would get black flag later in the race. So then, we saw a little bit of strategy where Gio Ruggiero, Stuart Friesen, Jake Garcia, Chandler Smith, and Dale Hemrick all decided to stay out, while the rest leaders came down pit road, with Corey Heim winning the race off of pit road. And then on the restart, you had Gio Ruggiero lead the field from the outside with Stuart Friesen on the inside, and Gio Ruggiero got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the race lead. Corey Heim was trying to charge his way up to the front and catch up to Gio Ruggiero for the end of the stage. He eventually got by Jake Garcia to get up to third, but it took him quite a bit of time because it was really difficult to pass. He got a really good run on the second place guy, Stuart Friesen, at the time, but he couldn't catch Gio Ruggiero, as coming off the corner, Gio Ruggiero would come off the corner and win stage number 1. Then during the caution, Gio Ruggiero, Stuart Friesen, Jake Garcia, Daniel Hemrick, Chandler Smith, Connor Mosack, Tony Breidinger all came down pit road, while the rest leaders would stay out, and Daniel Hemrick and Dawson Sutton got speeding penalties. And then on the restart, you had Corey Heim lead the field from the outside with Lane Riggs on the inside, and Lane Riggs got really sideways going into turn number 1, moved up the racetrack, got into Corey Heim. This would hand the race lead to Grant Enfinger, who moved out, and Brent Cruz at the time would move up to second position. And then eventually we saw some really good battles for second position between Corey Heim and Brent Cruz. They battled side by side for the next 10 to 15 laps, next 20 laps, I should say. But eventually Corey Heim got a great run on Brent Cruz and moved up to second position. And Brent Cruz started fading back a little bit, of course, on older tires, unfortunately. Started fading back quite a bit. And Corey Heim was starting to catch Grant Enfinger as the run progressed and went on. Corey Heim's truck was the fastest on the long run and was really running him down, while also Chandler Smith was coming as well. And with a few laps to go in stage number 2, Corey Heim had caught Grant Enfinger in traffic and was trying to make a move to him to get the race lead, but a caution would come out with 3 laps to go into stage when Connor Jones got up in the outside wall. Connor Jones hit that outside wall quite a bit. Then basically got a lot of damage. He just had a flat tire hit the outside wall. That would bring out the caution. This would end stage number 2 under yellow, with Grant Enfinger coming off the corner and winning stage number 2 under caution. And then all 8 lap trucks would then come down pit road, with Grant Enfinger winning the race off pit road over Corey Heim. Kyle Busch, who was in this race, of course, unfortunately had a speeding penalty and would have to go to tail end longest line. Tough break for Kyle Busch, who struggled to not have really the pace for the win today. He would go to the tail end. And then on the restart, you had Grant Enfinger lead the field from the outside with Corey Heim on the inside, and Grant Enfinger got a solid restart and was able to clear for the lead for a second, but Corey Heim then got a fantastic run on the inside and was able to clear Grant Enfinger for the race lead. And then Chandler Smith got into the back of Grant Enfinger, moved him up the racetrack quite a bit, and Corey Heim was able to eventually get by and take the race lead, and he started checking out and pulling away. And then we saw a fantastic battle for quite a few laps between Chandler Smith and Corey Heim for the next 10 to 15 laps. They were battling back and forth for the race lead. But then eventually, as the run progressed and went on, Corey Heim's truck really started coming in, and he started pulling away from Chandler Smith and continued to pull out to a near 2-second lead with around 50 laps to go. But then, everything would change with 38 laps to go in the race when Tyler Tomasi lost a right front tire entering turn number 1. He basically hit the inside wall, or the outside wall, I should say, after some contact with some other guys as well. This would bring out the caution. And then we saw a lot of strategy. Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, Gio Ruggiero, and Brent Cruz all stayed out, while everyone else would come down pit road, including Chandler Smith, Jake Garcia. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch and Katie Honeycutt would both once again get penalized. They would have to go to tail end of the longest line for speeding on pit road, and Ty Majeski would get a safety violation. And then on the restart, Yet Corey Heim lead the field from the outside with Lane Riggs on the inside, and Corey Heim got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the race lead, with Chandler Smith starting to catch up on the tires and was starting to run them down. Eventually, with around 30 laps to go, Chandler Smith got a great run on Lane Riggs and got up to second position and was starting to close in on Corey Heim as the run progressed and went on. It looked like Chandler Smith was going to have an opportunity to run him down. They were running two different lines. It was actually a really solid, fun battle for the win at that time. They were changing lanes back and forth, and they continued making moves to the inside, to the outside. It was really fun to watch and make those moves. And as they caught lap traffic, Corey Heim got a really, really good run and got by them. But then everything would change with around 5 laps to go as Corey Heim was getting by Spencer Boyd, who was 3 laps down. For some reason, Spencer Boyd decided to try to run the outside lane when he was multiple laps down. He should have gone to the bottom of the racetrack. You're getting in the way of the leader. And then eventually there was a great run for Chandler Smith and got into the back of Corey Heim and moved him up the racetrack. But then everything would change once again, as Brent Cruz would, for some reason, get turned by Ben Rhodes going down the back straightaway. I don't know what Ben Rhodes is doing there. That was a dumb move on Ben Rhodes' part. He just came off the corner and ends up wrecking himself and wrecks Brent Cruz, who was doing a really solid job in his debut. Tough break for both those guys, which is a bad move on Ben Rhodes' part. And then we get to the final restart of the race. You had Corey Heim lead the field from the outside with Chandler Smith on the inside, and Corey Heim got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the race lead. But then Lane Riggs, he moved up to second position. And as they came to the white flag of the race, Lane Riggs would get into the back bumper of Corey Heim and try to move to the inside to make the move to the bottom. Going into turn number 1, Lane Riggs would try to pull a slide job like Kyle Larson tried to do to Kyle Busch in 2018 at Chicagoland. He would not do the best job with the slide job. This would force Corey Heim up the racetrack. He ends up spinning out and losing the race lead. Lane Riggs gets the lead, but then Chandler Smith gets a great run as they enter turn number 3, makes a move to the inside. He comes off the corner, and after not leading a single lap, Chandler Smith comes off the corner and picks up his second Truck Series win of 2025. I think his 6th or 7th career NASCAR Truck Series win. What a wild finish. Before talking about the winner of the race, let's talk about my thoughts of this finish. Corey Heim has been the guy that's been to beat all season long. He probably should have 6 or 7 wins up to this point so far, but he's had a lot of things go wrong, and it looked like today he was going to win. If that caution doesn't come out for Brent Cruz or Ben Rhodes, he's winning this race more than likely, because I think he would have had the chance and opportunity to get it. But I do feel absolutely really bad for Corey Heim here. And I think Lane Riggs, what he did was not the most egregious thing in all honesty. He didn't intentionally try to wreck him. I understand Corey Heim's frustration because Corey Heim has had a lot of bad luck so far this year, and he should have more wins than he has. And I think there's a lot of frustration from that, because I think what Lane Riggs did there, and I think it's just... I think he's also frustrated, too, because he got into him earlier in the event, and he moved him up the track and cost Corey Heim a lot of ground there. But I also understand Corey Heim's frustration, too. And I think Lane Riggs, I don't think he wanted to, wreck Corey Heim. It wasn't intentional. But it definitely was Lane Riggs' fault that he forced Corey Heim up the racetrack. So I feel bad for Corey Heim in that situation. The frustration's acceptable. He went over to confront Lane after. He didn't really go and yell. He kind of told him what was wrong. Same as Scott Cipodelli. Corey Heim's not a guy who's going to go out and throw punches most of the time. I think just in this case, you want to tell him, why did you do it? That was unnecessary. I get Corey Heim's frustration, and it's understandable. But moving on from that, let's talk about the winner of the race, Chandler Smith. Second truck win in 2025, becomes the first driver outside of Corey Heim to have multiple wins this year. Chandler Smith had one of the best trucks in the field. I think he was the only guy most of the day that could contend with Corey Heim. He had fresher tires as well, which definitely helped him quite a bit. But with tires not mattering enough, I don't think if that caution comes out, he beats him. He was making the move on him to get the lead, to be fair. But I think that Chandler Smith had a really good truck today, a well-earned win for him. I know he only led 1 lap. Corey Heim probably should have won this race, but still a really great day for Chandler Smith. Good for him to get a second win of the season. Big deal to get those extra playoff points. Congratulations to him on picking up the win and getting a second win of 2025. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the race results and give my score and thoughts on today's race. So Chandler Smith picks up the win. Lane Riggs finished second. Great run from Lane Riggs, even though he did have those issues with Corey Heim. He still ran top 5 most of the day, showed some good speed. Started in the back, moved his way up to the front. Great run for Lane. He finishes second. Tyler Ankrum finishes third. Continues to be one of the most consistent guys in the field. I think that's his 6th or 7th top 5 of the year. He's been really strong this year in that 18 truck. Not the guy that's always going up there winning races, but he's been really good this year consistency-wise. He finishes third. Great run from Tyler Ankrum. Dale Hamrick finished 4th. Was really a non-factor most of the day, but he got himself up inside the top 5 and put together a really strong performance today. Great run for the driver of the 19. He finishes 4th. Grant Finger finished 5th. He had good speed early in the race, but that contact with Chandler Smith dropped him back quite a bit. Still a solid day for Grant. One of the best runs I think he's put all together. He's got to have everything working right for him to have a chance to win these races. Today was a solid run. He finished 5th. Ty Majeski finished 6th. For a guy that was a non-factor all day, about the best he ran all day, solid finish, all things considered, because he had no speed today. He was running 15th to 20th most of this race, but he recovered nicely to get himself a top 20 finish. Good run for Ty Majeski. Gio Ruggiero finished 7th. He ran top 5 most of the day, lost some ground on the final restart, unfortunately, but today was still a really good run for the driver of the 17. Ran up front, majority of the race, ran top 10. Great run from Gio in 7th. Caden Honeycutt finished 8th. A disappointing day for Caden. I thought he'd be a factor. He showed good speed in practice early today, so no speed whatsoever for Caden at the end, but solid day nonetheless for him in 8th place. Kyle Busch finished 9th. Probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen Kyle Busch put together in the Craftsman Truck Series, in all honesty. Just no speed today whatsoever. He had about a 5th or 6th place truck, which for Kyle Busch is not good. For most guys, that'd be great. But for Kyle Busch, you're expected to go out there and win, and he never had the speed. The Spire trucks really struggled today. I was a little surprised by the lack of speed of the 07 machine. I thought he'd be a factor. He never got the chance to do well today. He finished 9th and had multiple speeding penalties, so decent recovery, but just not a great run for Kyle Busch today overall. And Sammy Smith finished 10th. Same thing for him, just no speed from the Spire trucks. He finished 10th. Tanner Gray finished 11th. Not a bad day for him. Jake Garcia finished 12th. A decent run for him. Luke Baldwin finished 13th. Want to give him a shout out. He honestly had a decent run today, all things considered. Showed some solid pace, some good speed in the race today. Had a pretty good run. He finishes in 13th. Luke Baldwin finishes 13th. Solid day for Luke Baldwin, all things considered. Ran top 10 most of the race, showed some really good speed. Great run from the driver of the number 66. He finishes 13th. Stuart Friesen finished 14th, ran top 5 early. Lost some ground near the end of the event, but a solid top 15 day, but not the best finish that he could have gotten. Raj Crew finished 15th, never really had the speed today. The Spire trucks, like I said, really struggled all day long. Fell back quite a bit. He finished 15th. Connor Mosak finishes 16th. Corey Heim after spinning out. Corey Heim should have won this race. Once again, dominated. Had the truck to beat by way far. Should have won this race definitely, but got turned on the last lap. Just tough break for Corey Heim. He's going to win a lot of races this year. He should have probably 6 or 7 wins at this point. With the speed he's shown, should have a lot more. He finished 17th. Matt Crafton finishes 18th. Pat Chamberlain gets a top 20, 19th place. Not a bad run for the driver of the 75 truck. Hope he gets more opportunities with this team. And Jack Wood finished 20th. Tony Breidinger finished 21st. She showed the most speed I think she showed this year. That's not really saying much, though, considering she's still way off the pace, but not her worst performance overall. She finished 21st. Brent Cruz finished 22nd. I want to give him a shout out. I know today did not go well for him, but he ran top 5 most of the race. That kid has got a lot of talent. I've been really high on that young man. He showed a lot of great speed. Got turned by Ben Rose for him being an idiot on the racetrack, but still could have been a lot better finish, but he still had a solid day, just not the finish that he should have definitely gotten, but he finished 22nd, had a really good run. Ben Rose finished 23rd, a dumb mistake that cost Brent Cruz a great run. He finished 23rd. Andres Perez finished 24th. Matt Mills finished 25th. Dawson Sutton finished 26th. Connor Jones, after having his troubles, he finished 27th. He actually was doing a solid job, all things considered, out there. I thought he'd be a wreck horse. He did have a tire issue, but he does get a top 30. Spencer Boyd finished 28th. Frankie Muniz finished 29th. Jason Alexander finishes 30th. Tyler Tomasi finished 31st. 32nd place finisher Ryan Relay. 33rd place finisher Derek White. And finishing last in 34th place is Norm Benning. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole. I'll give my scoring thoughts on today's race. Honestly, this race was kind of like a little bit of a slow burner. It kind of started off really, really slow with the performance of the race. The early portion of the race is really dominated by Corey Heim. But I will say, as this race progressed and went on, I think it definitely improved. You had some really good battles up front near the end of the event. You had the controversial ending, and he did have a really good battle there coming in before that caution came out between Chandler Smith and Corey Heim. Was it an all-time great race? No, but I think this race did have some very solid moments, had some good battles throughout the field. It was very difficult to pass. As clear as day, the tires really don't matter, though, because guys that had 60 or 70 lap older tires could hold off guys that were on fresher tires. That's definitely something that needs to be worked on. I think that as the track does age more, I think that's something that will come into play for the Truck Series. But overall, I thought it was a decent race. It wasn't great by any stretch of imagination, but I think it was very solid. My score of today's Truck Series race is going to be a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a solid race, not a great race, though. So, that is going to be today's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race review from North Wilkesboro. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's race. Your thoughts on today's race, let me know below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And congratulate Chandler Smith on picking up the win. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later tonight on the channel, we're going to have reactions to the heat races from North Wilkesboro, depending on what happens to Kyle Larson in Indianapolis. We might be doing a video on that later tonight as well. Then tomorrow on the channel, we are going to have the race. We might put the Larson video out tomorrow regardless. And then, of course, we are going to have reactions to the All-Star event. And then we're also going to be doing maybe a Shane Van Gisbergen video as well, depending on how he does. And then, of course, on Monday, we're going to have a NASCAR news video. Discuss who's over the course the last couple days. We got some supercar guys to talk about, like a Cam Waters, like Brett Feeney and Will Brown. We're also going to talk about some of the rumors around BJ McLeod driving for Spire, which was confirmed, and Clayton Farland as well. We have content coming on people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Connor Zilch, Jr. Motorsports, Eric on Roll, Chandler Smith, Sheldon Crate, Sam Mayer, Kyle Busch, all the good stuff, and Chase Elliott too, and Bubba Wallace, all on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.